Martin Luther King did exactly the same thing. He could have furthered the communist cause by presenting himself as a civil rights worker than as an out-and-out communist, using Gandhi's and Alinsky's advice and agenda. The Highlander Folk School was closed down in 1961 by the state of Tennessee for conducting subversive activities. Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King were both attendees of the Highlander Folk School and spoke there. The school, after being closed down, was later reopened as the Highlander Cultural and Research Center in New Market, Tennessee. The FBI website clearly states that Don West, one of the co-founders of the Highlander Folk School, a friend of Martin Luther King's, was a district director of the Communist Party in North Carolina. Miles Horton, also a co-founder of the school, an avowed socialist, claimed he had first met King during his junior year at Morehouse College. He invited King to participate at the Highlanders' anniversary celebration in 1957, and King, of course, accepted, and that's why he was there. While attending that celebration, an undercover agent from the Georgia Commission on Education took photographs of King sitting alongside of known communists Abner Berry and Jack Odell. During the 1950s, Jack Odell, sitting bosom buddy with King, Jack Odell in the 1950s was a member of the Communist Party. When federal marshals attempted to serve Odell with a subpoena, he fled. However, in searching out his place where he was residing at, they found party documents that established that Odell was in fact the district organizer for the Communist Party in New Orleans. This was a guy who was an associate of Martin Luther King. In the late 1950s, Odell withdrew his membership of the Communist Party to work in the civil rights movement. He worked with Martin Luther King Jr. He was the director of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Because of Odell's involvement with the Communist Party, some of King's advisors said that maybe you should distance yourself a little bit away from him because it could kind of hurt our social justice agenda. And so King decided that perhaps, but not King, but Odell decided perhaps that was good advice. So he withdrew from the front somewhat, took a less prominent position. But he considered or continued to play a decisive role in Martin Luther King's activities. King also had close ties with Ann and Carl Braden, husband and wife, Ann Braden and Carl Braden. Ann Braden was one of the Southerners singled out by King in his famous letter from a Birmingham jail that he wrote in 1963. He mentioned Ann Braden. The Bradens were, that's B-R-A-D-E-N, if you want to look it up in the internet. B like Bobby, R-A-D-E-N. The Bradens were lifelong socialists, and they worked in the Henry Wallace, who was a progressive, worked in his campaign for president in 1948. And it's not surprising they would work for Henry Wallace because he was, like I said, a progressive, and Carl Braden was a progressive too, a friend of Martin Luther King's. And part of Henry Wallace's campaign was to end the Cold War, to end segregation. He demanded full voting rights for blacks, and he wanted universal government health insurance, which we just got now under Obama, working for the same program. All right. upon the death of King, when Martin Luther King was assassinated in the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, at his funeral, Henry Winston, who was the national chairman of the Communist Party in the United States of America, led a delegation to a delegation of mourners to a funeral of Martin Luther King. The Soviet Union sent messages of sympathy as well. Memorial meetings took place all over the Soviet Union. Factories, halls, theaters, even the Moscow University held memorial services for Martin Luther King. Waldeck Rochert, who was General Secretary of the, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, it's a French name, so maybe Rocher or something like that, R-O-C-H-E-T, probably Waldeck Rocher, General Secretary of the French Communist Party, sent his warm regards to the widow of King. And the Polish communist newspaper, The Worker, sent sympathies to Coretta Scott King. William Patterson, Secretary of the Negro Department of the Communist Party USA, sent a telegram to Coretta Scott King, wishing her the best. And he said, tonight, we will join with all progressives, mankind, in expressing the deep pain and anguish at the monstrous assassination of your illustrious husband. These were some of the people that Martin Luther King is associated with. Robert Williams, Miles Horton, Jack Odell, Bayard Rustin, Stanley Levinson. These were people that he rubbed shoulders with. These were people that are socialists, communists, progressives, seeking to the destruction of America as you and I know it to be. And now, men like Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh and conservative preachers throughout the country are all embracing Martin Luther King as a great hero. But Martin Luther King was nothing but a low-down troublemaker, socialist, progressive, and agitator, working in a nonviolent way under the advice and teachings and leading of men like Saul Alinsky to bring about a dream, a destructive dream to America. And now you are living in that dream of hope and change. And what more is to come from that destruction of our nation? Now, I know and I'm quite aware that Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck and other conservative leaders, I know they'll probably never actually hear this message. And I know that they're not going to go into the YouTube to listen to it. I'm quite aware of that. Maybe. But the thing is that these men, they've got to know. They have to know this information. It is not hidden. It's not secret information. It's well documented. And I know they have to know this information. Why are they not telling you? It's only because they're afraid. They're afraid of the power of the progressives to destroy them. But even though they may not listen, the real power has always resided with the people. The real power is not with the leaders of our nation. The real power is not with Barack Obama or the senators or congressmen or Sean Hannity or any other famous person you can name. That's not where the real power lies. The real power lies in the hands of people like you, the common, ordinary American who has a deep residing love for this nation and for our people. That is where the real power has always lied. And that is why we're reaching out to you. We are losing our country very quickly. Martin Luther King and his whole agenda has been idolized. We're told to emulate him. We're told to have almost no concern about our people. a disinterest in our own people. We're losing our country quickly. Our white America homeland is being invaded, and soon your children will be an outnumbered minority. By the year 2042, white people numerically will be a minority in this country. When the baby boomer generation passes from the scene, there's going to be a great demographic shift occur in this country. And what will your children do, my friend? What will your children do then? Now, here's the thing. Don't listen to the people who tell you it's too late. Don't listen to people who say there's nothing we can do about it. Don't listen to people who say they're too powerful and they control too much and we're helpless. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it is at all. There's power in the hands of people. There's one thing stronger than all the armies of the world, said Victor Hugo, and that is an idea whose time has come. If you want to be a person who's looking for the future and establish a hope for your children, then you must awaken from your apathy. It's not too late. We can reclaim our country. We will do it. Truth is always stronger than a lie. And a righteous cause may be trampled upon for a time and a season, but it can never be defeated. Thank you for listening. See you soon. This is Thomas Robb.